Dear friends, hello, hello, hello. Today we have a guest. His name is Karim Bennamar, and he's independent philosopher. That is that this is the guest that me and my producer we were very interested to invite. I think whoever will listen this interview, we will find a lot of questions and a lot of answers. I think that that person, Karim, is very, very modest. And also he looks a little bit like a samurai or like Bushido, or I don't know, like, very elegant ninja. So dear Karim, hello. Thank you so much for coming to Hidden Hero. And tell us,
Hello,
please,
Olga.
about your background.
Well, I wanted to be a philosopher as a child. I wanted to ask the great questions about why the world is as it is. And I became an academic philosopher, went to university, studied philosophy, taught philosophy. And then I realized I wanted philosophy to have some impact in the real world. So I decided to leave the university and to start giving my own lectures and workshops. So there's this deep sense of wonder and deep sense of why is the world the way it is. And I'm now trying to translate that into something more practical. So sometimes practical, sometimes just existential or a little bit crazy or a little bit special.
I'm very excited. So let's go to the question number one. Dear Karim, in your opinion, what is the purpose of our lives? And is it all written, as Arabs say, that everything is written, you cannot change anything? Or still we are also the masters and at least something we can change?
Maktub, yes, everything is written. I think even I'm not sure if everything is written. This is something I don't know. But even if it is written, we can't read it, right? We don't have the knowledge to. Even if the book is written, we can't actually read the coming pages. So from our perspective, I think we are free. We have the experience of freedom. If you go right or go left, you could have made a different decisions. And I think the idea that you're making your own decisions is very important in your life. Now, the good news is that there is a meaning to your life. And the extra good news is that that meaning is just for you. You have to find it. You have to discover it. You have to experience it. You have to live it. Nobody else can tell you that your life should be about this or should be like that. I think the experience of being alive is discovering this, this reason for being. But it's not, it's a task, it's a journey, but it's not, you can take your time. Maybe it takes you 20 years, 30 years. There is no wrong answer. So it's actually quite an exciting trip, if you will.
But Karim, how you say you can take a time? Imagine if only a person at the age of 80, he will find out that he's a great artist. It will be very sad to find out it too late. That's why all of us were afraid that we will not find it in time.
Yes. I think. Well, the mythologist Joseph Campbell, he had this thing about finding your purpose, finding your bliss, and he said one of the really bad experiences, lousy experiences in life is if you're trying to get up this ladder, you're trying to be successful in your life and you're getting up the ladder and you're being successful, it's taking you 10, 20, 30 years. And then you realize you put the ladder against the wrong wall, right? You got to the top, but you don't want to be there. So I do think that the younger you begin, the more life you can make your own decisions. But even I would argue if you're 80, you've already lived up to 80. That time is gone. You don't have to live it again. So even then, if you then decide you want to be an artist at 80, then all your life that you have to live from 80 onwards, all of it, 100% is still ahead of you. So from your experience, 100% of your life is still the new you. The 80% that passed is gone. But I also think that we're getting younger and younger in trying to find this. So, perhaps 50 years ago in Europe or in developed countries or in other countries in the world, when they retired, they had to work and do their duty. And then when they retired, they said, now I'm going to decide what I want to do as for myself, right? But you would wait till you're 65 or 70. And then people started doing it around 40, the famous midlife crisis, right? You work really hard and then you're 40 and then you realize, what do I want to do with my life? And suddenly you change everything. And now people are starting to get a midlife crisis at 25, a quarter life crisis. You know, they are studying, or they're working, or they're having their own business, or they're starting a family. And then at 25, they say, why do I want to do this? And I actually think that's healthy. It's healthy to go from 65 to 40 to 25. It's great if you start answering that question at 25. Then you have a lot of time to experience that question. But it's not necessarily an easy question. The reason we call it a midlife crisis is because it's a crisis.
I'm sure you didn't have any crisis, Karim, because you said from your childhood you wanted to be a philosopher, which is quite unique in Europe. And for example, in Russia, a lot of people think, oh, philosophers, they're doing nothing. They're just dreaming, you know? And you said, no, I want to answer that question. That means you already were quite brave to answer that. Tell me, please, what? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I would say, actually, I had a lot of crises. I've had a lot of midlife crises. I've had at least 3 or 4. This is actually my 4th midlife crisis now this year, because of the pandemic. I'm changing what I'm doing. And I think actually, instead of just counting them, saying this is my 4th midlife crisis, I've decided to just be in crisis all the time. It's easier. Then you don't have to count them. You don't have to worry, are you in this crisis or that crisis? Because I think a crisis is a positive moment. A crisis is a moment where the old things are changing to the new things. There is a metamorphosis. You are growing, and growing means there is uncertainty. And so now with this coronavirus pandemic, there is a global crisis, because the structures, you know, the traveling everywhere and going skiing and being together in parties and going to football games, all of that is on hold. And so people have to ask themselves, what is important in my life and what really matters, and what do we want the world in the coming years to be like? So also for me to leave, you know, to think philosophy is about going to the university and becoming a professor and writing books, and then changing and saying, no, that's not the real world. I want to reach people. I want to have an effect on people's decisions today, not, you know, in 30 years or something like that. That was also a crisis.
If you touch the topic of Corona, and you said that sometimes you can completely change your work because of Corona. In some of the interviews, you mentioned that you can do something completely different. What are you meaning by that?
Well, sometimes you have to, right? So I think there is some levels of change that we all have to go through levels of change during this pandemic. And the first level is accepting that, you know, this is really, really different. I think now after 9 months, most people have accepted it. But, you know, some people still find it very hard to accept it's going to take another year, even with the vaccine and everything, right? So accepting is a way of changing. And then you can either make a small change by shifting things. You can start doing stuff online, or you can make a small change in your work, but maybe that's not enough. If you work in the airline industry or in the hospitality industry, you know, a lot of jobs are disappearing. And so your life, your work, what you were doing is gone, or it's on hold for maybe 2 years, 3 years, who knows? So the possibility that you have to reinvent yourself to say, this is not the only thing I could do. That's a crisis, right? Your old work life is disappearing and you have to make a new one. And so I think this capacity to reinvent yourself, to ask yourself, what else can I do? And you can do this from a generous perspective to say, what does the world need? You know, this is a crisis. You know, there are a lot of people dying. You know, there's thousands of people a day dying, tens of thousands. There is a lot of help is needed. Maybe you can help with your work. Maybe you can help with your means, with your money if you have some. Maybe you can help with your contacts or your networks. Maybe you can just encourage people who have a difficult time. You know, when there is a bad situation, there is a lot of work. So it's perhaps a good idea to shift or to rethink, to reframe your work. And I realized that the first time when we have to make a change, we just see the loss. You know, I used to be a pilot, now I can't fly. I used to have a restaurant, now I can't open my restaurant. And it seems like the whole world is collapsing, and you're going to be sad and you're going to be angry. and why me, and all those emotions. That's good. You know, let them out, have the emotions. It's normal to be angry at the situation, to be sad, to be depressed, perhaps even. But after you've done that, after you've gone the emotion and you want to think a little bit like a philosopher, we think, you know, we're very rational human beings. Then you can start thinking, you know, what's the opportunity here? What does the world need, or what can I offer, or what have I always wanted to try? And then you can always go back maybe to your previous life in a few years' time, and maybe you don't want to. Maybe you're happy with your new life. Who knows?
It sounds pessimistic, but very optimistic. I don't know, Karim, how you're doing that, but you put all this pessimism into optimism, which is amazing. And I feel, wow, it's new opportunities. It's not that terrible. We can find something completely new. And if such a great person as Karim had 3-4 crises, that means, hallelujah, all of us, we can find the way. What is your concept of reframing? You were telling about that. What do you mean by reframing?
Yes. Pessimist, optimist, just a second. Yeah, no, I think I'm a realist. I used to be just an optimist. I used to think everything was fantastic. And then now that I'm getting a little bit older myself, I'm becoming a bit more of a realist. I realize some things are really just bad. You know, you just have to cry and get angry, and it's, you know, just, that's fine. That's realism. But then you can become optimistic afterwards. Reframing is this idea that we all live in structures with a frame, with a way of looking at the world. Sometimes we call it a paradigm. A paradigm is a way of looking at the world and doing the world. And when the reason I use the word frame, think of glasses. Okay, so I have some reading glasses here. So if I put on my glasses, I look at the world in a different way. I can see things differently because I'm wearing these glasses.
Now you
and
look
because
like Deepak Chopra.
Like who? Deepak Chopra.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you realize it in the glasses? Without glasses?
Yes. Well, so my frame has changed from who I was before to Deepak. Yes. So now I'm just going to tell you to breathe, and breathe through your nose, in one nostril, out the other nostril. I don't want to do the accent because that's, you can't do that anymore. That's not politically correct to do accents anymore. So you know, so you wear glasses and you see the world in a certain way because the glasses change what you see, and then you can act in a different way. And if you take these glasses off and you put on a different set of glasses, you will see the world differently. And so the reframing is literally taking off one set of glasses and putting on a different set of glasses. And the real trick is you can't actually, I don't have glasses now, I actually have contacts, so I'm still wearing glasses, but you always wear glasses if you look at the world, and the glasses come from your culture, they come from your upbringing. You know, you and I both lived in Japan, right? You realize that the way the Japanese people relate, how they talk, what you say is so different from what we used to in the West,
another
right?
planet. It's aliens.
Completely another.
By the way, I'm very grateful because Karim, you will not believe, but this being connected to Japanese people living in Japan and working 7 years in Nihon Keizai Shimbun, Nikkei, Japanese newspaper, give me now resilience because I know that these people can survive tsunami, earthquake. They're very strong.
Yeah, shikataganai ne. Shikataganai. The Japanese say there's nothing to be done about it, you know. So
yeah,
gambarimashou. You know, let's work together. There's this in Japanese culture. There's these sayings which people repeat, which are the culture, which is, you know, it's a bit like maktub, right? It is, you know, there's nothing you can do about reality, just accept it and do your best. But it's very group based, as you remember, right? The group is more important than the individual. You know, you have to adapt yourself to the group feeling, to the fuinki, to whatever, to the atmosphere. So I think a cultural frame, right? A cultural frame, taking one frame and putting on another frame. So I lived in Japan for 9 years, and just before I left Japan, I had a sabbatical and I went to Brazil. I went to Rio de Janeiro, which was it's literally on the other side of the planet. You have to fly 24 hours to get to Rio. It's the exact opposite of the planet of Japan. But also, of course,
in Rio de Janeiro.
Yes, I was in the samba school.
Oh my God.
To 2000. The Salguero is my samba school. I still have the hat somewhere here. the samba thing.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so that's you have to do that once in your life, being a samba parade. You could do it in Rio, but you can also start your own samba parade wherever you are. Maybe it's something for Kazakhstan. You know, I get a sense that.
Yeah, that is missing here. That is missing here. I didn't expect it, because for me, you looks like samurai, like, you know, somebody who has a lot of power inside, who looks like simple, elegant, but inside there is volcano. But now I see, of course, if you were dancing.
That's the Arabic side. You know, I'm half Algerian, so the Arabic side is the side where you talk with your arms and you speak like this, and you get very close to people, you know, like this, like, you know, and. You know, I don't go to Algeria very often because I live in Holland. But when I go to my family here in Holland, I'm always the loudest one, the one who speaks with the arms, and always the extrovert. And then when I go to my family in Algeria, I'm actually the quietest one. They're all like that. And then I realize I used to think it was my personality to be so outgoing. And then I realize it's a cultural trait. You know, people, they're all like that. They all exaggerate all the time. And so, but anyway, so just to come back to that frame, right? So a frame is a way of looking at the world, is a way of then acting in the world, but you can change that frame. And you don't need to change it very often, because if you change a frame, it's actually quite fundamental. You go deep into what you're doing. Changing your work is a reframe. You know, before you used to be a pilot, and now you are working as a nurse, for example. Or you're helping a doctor, or you used to be logistics for great parties, you know, fantastic buffets and food, and now you can't do that because of restaurants, and you do logistics for healthcare, or you do logistics for something else that the world needs, right? And what I'm trying to do in my lectures and workshops and online courses is to help people to make that shift, you know, and the trick really is to make it artificially. If you start thinking like this is a brainstorm and I can think of a new frame, you will think the same thing you were thinking before. And so the trick is to find some way to make yourself really uncomfortable.
You
so
mean
you can make
some shocking things? You want to shock a person, yeah?
Yes,
to make him feel uncomfortable.
Yes, and actually the easiest way to shock people, interestingly enough, is to make a joke. To make something funny, because a joke is a reframe, right? You start saying something and then you change, and that is a reframe when you make a joke.
Interesting.
Right?
Very interesting. Karim, tell us, please, we created Hidden Hero platform to help people to make their personal brand, because a lot of people now, they have to make this brand, even if they hate technology, but somebody who is isolated in India, Pakistan, or in London, or in Kazakhstan, do you have 1-2 tips to people, because you know so much and you travel so much, and you as an example of your personal brand yourself, like 1-2 tips to make a brand?
Yes, well, it's very sweet what you say. Actually, all the things that you say are actually almost the opposite. I'm actually terrible at making my own brand, but at least I can tell you a little bit about don't do the things that I do. Do the opposite of what I do, and you'll be fine. The one thing I've learned, but it's taken me 15 years to learn it, is that you have to be quite specific about what you do. If you say, for example, I used to do philosophy, and I said I can do this, and I can do this scenario thinking, and I can do appreciative inquiry. These are all methods of thinking, and I can do this. And if you want, I can be an interviewer, I can be a facilitator. Anything you ask, I can do for you. That seems like a great way to start a business, because you're going to get a lot of business. But then nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows what your brand is. Nobody knows what you stand for. And they're not going to think of you that you're just average. So the difficult thing at the beginning is to say, this is what I'm really good at. There is a wonderful thinker called Seth Godin, Godin. He has a blog, and he has podcasts and everything. And he talks a lot about this. Be world-class at what you do, right? And world-class doesn't mean you have to be the best in the world. It just means best in the world of the people who are going to hire you, or the people who want to work with you. What is the thing that you're really good at? And just do that, and tell people about it. Say to people, if you want this, then I can do that. And if they want somebody else, you say, well, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I can only do this. But if you want, I know somebody who can do it. I can help you find that other person, right?
Karim, what are you number one? What you are the world class? where are you you are only one in the world? What is that?
Um, I think the best thing for me is to be a speaker, but this is the shift that I'm making in this year actually, because until last year I was doing a lot of workshops, a lot of facilitating. I was interviewing people, um, and I was doing a lot of kind of stuff around the content. I was helping people make the shift themselves. But actually, I think even the books that I've written, they started off as recordings. I was recording myself speaking, and then I would transcribe the recording. So for me, it's always been the voice. It's the speaking, the telling the story, the being passionate. You know, sometimes I try to tone down my passion. I try to say, oh, I have to be logical and I have to be serious. And people want me to be serious because it's a serious problem they're facing. And then I'm realizing I'm not showing who I really am. That passion and that optimism and just saying, oh, we could do it differently. That's what people want from me. Then you want Karim. If you want somebody serious and you're going to talk about the problem with numbers and an accountant, you need somebody else, right? So the thing about your own brand is to find that thing that is close to who you are, and then to keep telling people about it. And it sounds like silly. It sounds like very, very simple advice. But the interesting thing is most people do the opposite. When they start off, they do the opposite. And also, don't be afraid to ask a good price for what you do. You know, the other assumption when you start is if I'm cheap, then people will hire me. You know, but if you're cheap, people
All
think
people like
people
luxury, expensive things,
exactly,
Mercedes, Rolls Royce, Dolce
exactly,
Gabbana, I don't know, something beautiful,
exactly.
nice and tasty. We want to go to nice
Yes,
restaurant. We don't want to go to very cheap one. I'm sorry to
exactly.
McDonald's or something, but we want to go to a beautiful place. Tell me,
Yes.
please.
So, but that's important with
Yeah,
people who
that's
start. Yeah,
important, and we should
yeah.
understand it. What is your next online course will be about?
There's two that I'm working on. One is about money. So how does money work? You know, because money is really crazy. I mean, money doesn't exist. People think it's gold or there's something in the banks. The banks have money in the banks. That's not true. It's just little numbers. So money is based on trust. So how does money work? I've been doing a little bit of research into that. And there's maybe another course about philosophy. What is truth? What is reality? Those fundamental philosophical questions, but seen as frames. You know, so if you there's different ways to think about truth, there's different ways to think about reality, and I'm not going to tell you this is the right way. I'm going to just perhaps in my course explain to you that there's several ways and you decide which one you want. So those are going to be the next online courses.
It's very exciting. And as a hidden hero platform, I'm very, very interested to support you, Karim, because I think that what you're doing, there should be the bridge between normal people who are not philosophers, but you give us something very important, like reframe. If you're always wearing these black glasses, put pink one. And maybe then if you're at festival in Brazil and you will say, oh my God, what are they doing? This is terrible. Oy, oy, oy. No, you will see, wow, this is beautiful. This is exciting. This is unusual. And at the same time, if you happen to be in Japan, you will see everybody's gloomy. All of them, they working so much. No, you will see, wow, this is a culture that can help us now when we don't know what to
Yeah,
do. That
and
is
the
time.
the secret about the Japanese is that they also really know how to have fun. As you know, one after work when you start drinking together, they can have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And they are, you know, there's an inside in Japan which is very different from the outside. But yes, no, lovely. The hidden hero. I was thinking perhaps everybody is a hidden philosopher. You know, everybody has a hidden. Discover your hidden philosopher. Everybody has a little philosopher inside them, and so maybe you can look for it and make it grow and look at the world like a philosopher. Not all the time, just you know, maybe 1 hour or 2 hours every week, and then maybe your life is exciting that way.
That is a great advice. We will look as a hidden heroes at our life as philosophers, and maybe there is already something exciting, or maybe we can build something new. And it will be my honor and pleasure to tell more people about you, because I think it's needed now for the big companies, for corporations, for companies who care about their teams. As you said, we should work in the groups, not alone. And this is what you are teaching, explaining from the philosophic point of view, United Arabic culture, being half Algerian, Dutch culture, your experience living in Japan, and even you said that your descendants were from Russia. I think this is a
Yes.
very powerful combination that can be used for the humanity. And the more people know about you, the more they will benefit. So I'm very lucky to have met you, and I hope we will be in touch. It will be my big pleasure. Thank you so much for your time, Karim.
Olga, thank you very much for inviting me, and great project with the Hidden Heroes, and wonderful work that you're doing, introducing all these people to the world, finding them and then introducing them, and great luck with your work and with your travels, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you so much. All the best. Thank you.
Bye bye.